Good morning to my lecturer, Mr. Asman Arwa, and my fellow friends. Today we're gonna present about Purwaja Steel Company and the fraudulent case was involved. So about Purwaja Steel Company and about its background. The Purwaja Steel Company has been started in 1982 as a joint venture between Telangana State Government and Heavy Industries Corporation (HICOM) and Japanese company Nippon Steel Corporation. Uh, the Parwaja Steel Company was started because of a shortage experienced in 1970s for iron and steel products. The Parwaja Steel Company has been manufacturing and selling iron um, and steel products for decades and had some difficulties throughout the years. The company was known first as Purwaja Telangana STN BHD and was altered to Purwaja Steel STN BHD in 1989. The main office is in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and it has been distributing and exporting steel and iron to buyers all over the world. The two important major plants are located at Kemaman, Telangana, and Gurun-Kada, where the company was born from. The company should have been a showcase to push for industrialization, which was took place when the fourth Prime Minister Tun Dato Sri Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad, father of modernization, became. And Mr. Chin Guanpeng became the first CEO for Parwaja Steel Company, and he was an accountant by profession. This company has failed to make profit, and secondly, directors and top management who are related to this fraud case was Tan Sri Eric Chia Eng Hock was the former businessman for Parwaja Steel Company and ran that place to turn it around. He was given full authority to do what was necessary to reverse Parwaja's performance and reported directly to Mahadi. Moreover, Tun Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad himself was involved in this case for giving the work to his friend. Tan Sri Eric Chia.
Nature of fraud in Purwaja Steel Sandhya Berhad. Purwaja Steel Sandhya Berhad is started with a paid-up capital of 250 million, and the Ministry of Finance has given a grantee for Purwaja Steel Sandhya Berhad to take a large loan of 800 million ringgit Malaysia from the Bank of Japan, which is the Export Bank of Japan. Next, in 1987, Nippon Steel withdrew from the project with Purwaja Steel because the company faced huge losses in 1987 until their CEO resigned and was replaced by a close friend to Tun Dr. Mahathir, which is Eric Chia. Although Eric Chia is a close friend to Tun Dr. Mahathir, but Tun Dr. Mahathir acknowledged the government's failure to address the long-standing 10 billion ringgit Malaysia Purwaja Steel scandal. In addition, Eric Chia has been appointed and given full authority to develop Purwaja Steel and given government funding of 2 billion, EPF of 130 million, and Bank Bumi Putra provides 860 million. In addition, Purwaja had been a money-generating firm when Eric Chia was appointed, but only before he resigned. After he resigned in 1995, the company debt had increased by 1 billion ringgit Malaysia to 2.49 billion ringgit Malaysia, causing Purwaja to be said to be facing production problem and facing huge debts. Firstly, we have corruption in tender and reward contracts. A contract tender worth 967 billion ringgit Malaysia was given to Masun, but there was no board approval document and they were given another tender worth 103 million ringgit Malaysia, but no document could be traced and the board did not know. Moreover, without asking for a competitive bid or referring the bid to the tender committee from Purwaja, Masun Group was awarded construction contract of 529 million ringgit Malaysia, as the Masun Group is an old ally of Eric Chia. Second, we have misconduct in the office of the director. The director was arrested for paying a total of 74.6 million to Japan NKK Corporation, and it was found that the payment was made through a Hong Kong company called Fresham Enterprise in 1994. But the transaction did not have the board approval. Prosecutors allege The first Sham enterprise was a fake company that diverted the money into offshore bank accounts. Meanwhile, Eric Cha awarded 957 million ringgit Malaysia contract to an old associate, but no open tender and price bidding resulted in a conflict of interest. Third, we have fraudulent accounting. Purwaja was found guilty of creating beautiful accounts to keep their share prices high. Next, Purwaja has also been arrested for committing a dubious transaction that they making payments to a company that does not exist. And there are many inaccurate records as they buy unused spare parts. In addition, the company's external auditor were not present to report Purwaja's losses, and the investigation found that there was a worrying lack of internal control system in Purwaja's December from 1992 to 1995. In addition, Purwaja has also had dubious contract amounting to approximately 292 million ringgit Malaysia to pay for gardening, cleaning, and vehicle maintenance of 200,000 ringgit Malaysia per month. Meanwhile, Purwaja was found to have made payment of 27.1 million US dollar to a mysterious company in Hong Kong. Fourth, misappropriation of fund and loans. Loan irregularities amounting to 196 million US dollar in yen were borrowed from Japanese bank as interest rate rose higher than the yen rose rapidly at the time. Lastly, we have ignorance of corporate crime. Purwaja Steel was once announced in Parliament that it was bankrupt, but no legal action was taken against any director until a police report was lodged in 1999, which resulted in Mr. Eric Cha being arrested in 2004, and Purwaja has been said to have changed and still operating.
Purwaja was claimed to be having production troubles and owing large amounts of money. Purwaja was claimed to be having production troubles and owing large amounts of money soon after it began operations. On Purwaja accounting and transactions, numerous audits and reviews were performed. Because numerous politicians were engaged, the majority of them were kept under wraps. Some of them were fraud accounting. Some of the main points in this fraud accounting of Purwaja Steel Company were: Number one, Purwaja was accused of creating gorgeous accounts in order to keep their stock values high. Number two, Purwaja was caught carrying out questionable transactions. They were sending money to non-existent businesses. There were several inaccuracies in the paperwork, and they were buying items that were not used by the company and were of dubious quality. Number three, in the case of the Purwaja losses, there were no external auditors from 1992 to 1995. And number four, an investigation indicated that Purwaja lacked an alarmingly weak internal control mechanism. Number five, nearly RM 292 million in disputed contracts, 2,000 per month for gardening, cleaning, and maintenance of vehicles. Number six, a payment of 27.1 million to an unidentified Hong Kong business. And number seven, misuse of a loan of 196 million. The prosecution claimed that the TTA was free, but when tendering its document at trial, it said that the agreement should be effective upon receipt of the first payment, whereas NKK Corporation's document stated that the amount should be paid in one lump sum. The fact that Eric Chia was acquitted of all criminal breach of trust charges on June 26, 2007. The Star Online June 2007 brought some solace to the other criminals who have ties to political patronage. The judiciary was one of the first institutions backed by Mahathir in order to increase his infrastructural power since 1988, and critics saw Eric's trial as yet another theatrical act. The Purwaja Steel Fraud investigation, which lasted 11 years from 1997 to 27, was one of the country's longest. The case's protracted duration was attributed to the involvement of international institutions and strong individuals. While this may be accurate owing to the nature of the case, it may equally be interpreted as a big cover-up attempt by the parties involved, the hopes that people will forget about it as time passes. Table 3 shows the timeline of events surrounding Mahathir's role in the production of corruption and how he exploited the state apparatus as well as his loyal cronies and other political elites to ensure that he was never linked or mentioned in the Purwaja Steel scandal. So here are the table 3. On 1982, Purwaja Terengganu was formed as a joint venture between the Malaysian government and Nippon Steel Corp of Japan on the east coast of the country. Despite the fact that steel was consumed in massive quantities on the west coast at a prescription for catastrophe, Mahathir rationalized his action by arguing that he was bringing industrialization to Malaysia's east coast in order to assist the country prosper. In 1986, Rm 131 million in losses were accrued by Purwaja Terengganu. It was the appreciation of the yen, not the poor management abilities of Mahathir's inexperienced cronies in the steel sector, that he blamed. In 1987, Eric Chia has been tasked with determining why the project failed. To save his faltering pet project, Mahathir used Eric as his Mr. Physics. In 1988, Purwaja Terengganu has declared bankruptcy. Mahathir did not want to admit that his initiative had failed. Therefore, he turned down bids to turn the company into a viable operation. In 1988 also, Eric was named managing director of Purwaja Steel when it was founded. One of the state organization, EPF, was used by Mahathir to give a syndicated loan to help Eric open the new company. MOF had representative on the company's board of directors. In 1991, Purwaja Steel turned a profit for the first time. To deflect criticism of his mega project, Mahathir used the incident to defend his decision to hire Eric to lead his new project. Next, in 1995, Purwaja Steel's Eric Chia has resigned. Eric was forced to quit by Mahathir. In 1996, Purwaja Steel reported an 376.54 million pre-tax loss. For the second time, Mahathir used the EPF to offer a syndicated loan. Next, in 1996, based on a research by Coopers and Lybrand, which was charged with investigating Purwaja Terengganu insolvency status, Anwar Ibrahim revealed in Parliament that Purwaja's true loss was 2.9 billion. Anwar directed ECE to look into the company's Arthur Anderson audited report for suspected malpractices and fraud that may have led to the loss. In 1997, Purwaja Steel was purchased by Maju Holdings Sdn Bhd, which now owns 51% of the company. Mahathir assisted another of his Malay cronies, Abu Sahid, in acquiring the company, and it was only in 2003 then the deal was signed and the company took control. In 1998, Anwar Ibrahim was removed from the government for opposing the use of public monies to subsidize failed and non-beneficial enterprise. Mahdi utilized the legal system to jail Anwar for alleged sodomy and other corruption allegations. In 2004, Eric was arrested and accused with an 76.4 million criminal breach of trust. Instead of being the preparator to justice, Abdullah Badawi, who succeeded Mahdi, utilized Eric's arrest as a political strategy ahead of the 2004 general election. Lastly, in 2007, the judge found Eric not guilty because the prosecution team failed to introduce important witnesses and provided contradictory documents. The case was dismissed.
Action taken against the company. A government inquiry order was then issued on 10th April 1996 and the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, at one time known as the Anti-Corruption Agency, started work the company audit report for possible wrongful conduct and the fraud which modified to the laws. Along 16 June 1997, a 51% stock of Purwaja was taken over by Maju Holdings Sdn Bhd and continuing projective under which were winners Sdn Bhd. Eric was questionable to have dishonestly approved payment of 97.4 million to the amount of Freezer Enterprise Incorporated with the American Express Bank Limited in Hong Kong for method assistance arrangement provided by Japan Nkk Corporation for Purwaja plant in Gurun, which in fact no such payment was due to these companies. He had no also approved payment of the same amount without the support of the board of directors or soft commit of the Purwaja Rolling Mill and Develop Sdn Bhd. The offence was maintained committed in his capacity as the managing director of Purwaja between 4 November 1993 and 22 February 1994. The case became worse when Nkk was afterward found to be non-exit. But in 2007, Eric was discharged and not guilty by the judge after Tahir, who said the action had unsuccessful to establish a prima facie case against Eric. Fault of the prosecution as failure to call two material witnesses and the conflict in sensitive document action contained that TAA was free, but when tendering in document the trial, they stated the agreement would be effective upon have the payment and Nkk Corporation's document which stated the amount and the manner it should be paid in lump.
When planning the audit, auditors consider what will make the financial statement materially misstated. The auditor's assessment of materiality related to specific account balance and classes of transaction helps them decide such questions as what items to examine and whether to use sampling and analytical procedures. This enables auditors to select audit procedures in combination can be expected to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. It also enables auditors to adopt an efficient and effective audit approach. This is an inverse relationship between materiality and the level of audit risk. That is, the higher the materiality level, the lower the audit risk and vice versa. As audit risk increase, auditors will compensate for this risk by reducing the importance. This will affect or increase the number of substantive tests that CPAS must perform in order to obtain sufficient evidence. However, as the risk decreases, the auditor's cost is satisfied with the effectiveness of the control. In this case, he will increase the importance in order to determine a small amount and must perform fewer substantive tests to obtain sufficient evidence. Risk elements are inherent risk, control risk, and detect risk. Inherent risk means that if there is no relevant internal control, account balance or transaction types are prone to margin misstatements. Control risk is the risk that internal control cannot prevent or detect material misstatement. Detection risk is the risk that the sanctified public accountant cannot detect the material misstatement in the financial statement. The auditor's assessment of materiality and audit risk when evaluating the result of audit procedure may be different from that at the time of initially planning the examination. This could be because of a change in circumstance or because of a change in the auditor's knowledge as a result of the audit. For example, For example, if the audit is planned prior to the period end, auditors anticipate the result of operation and the financial position. If actual result of operation and financial position are substantially different, the assessment or materiality and audit risk may also change together with the nature, timing, and extent of planned audit procedures. Additionally, audits, auditors may, in planning the audit work, intentionally set the acceptable materiality level at a lower level than is intended intended to be used to evaluate the result of the audit. This may be done to reduce the likelihood of undiscovered misstatement and to provide the auditors with a margin of safety when evaluating the effect of misstatement discovered during the audit. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Muhammad Imran bin Azman from UDE 210149, and today I'm going to explain conclusion part in our group assignment. From this report, we can see that we should avoid fraud in company. Perwaja Steel Company, which involved in fraud scandal, was blamed to be creating a beautiful accounts just to keep their share prices high. An investigation reveals that there were an alarming lack of internal control system within Perwaja. The objective of high profit maximization is also can be constrained by requirement through legal and ethical ways. The main source of this scandal is the desire to earn the money quickly, and the management expectation is different from the principle of ethics. The ethics should be monitored as to the commitment to produce a good ethical organization and restore the loss of confidence. Clear communication should be applied to all the employees about the expected behaviors in the organization. Only ethical methods are the only way of doing business. However, it is more important to learn the lessons from the scandals to guide us prevent or reducing the reoccurrence of such events in the future. The essential lessons learned from the scandals are the need for effective corporate governance. Corporate governance is the process and structure used to direct and manage the business relationship of the corporation with the objective and goals of enhancing shareholder value, which includes ensuring the financial viability of business. Good governance promotes relationship of responsibility among the first company participants to boost company performance. It holds management accountable to the board and the board accountable to shareholders. The monitoring process should be conducted ethically for enhancing good governance practice with better financial reporting. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.